my mother several that you too need to check in with your moms and your dads. Always tell them where you're going and be sure you tell them when you'll be back. They need to know that, and you guys all owe it to them. Right? Right. My brother deals with this altogether differently than I do. He will not talk about it as freely as you heard it from me this morning. Lives in California, happily married, but by choice will not bring children into this world. Has a very difficult time with organized religion. All of that makes me very sad. But I do not fault Albert. We have to remember he's 2 years older than I am, was with my father in the men's section, and I am convinced that he saw and experienced things that I did not. God put us on this earth, gives us a beautiful mind. It is this mind that allows us to choose right from wrong, good from evil. Therefore, men did this to one another. We're capable of making choices. But did he have to make it so bitterly cold when we were standing out there on the Pell all day? I have a direct line. I ask loads of questions. Don't get too many answers, but that's okay. Faith I will always have. After all, here I am, 3 children, 9 grandchildren, 3 great-granddaughters from whom generations will be forthcoming. He made sure that enough of us survived so that we will always be here. I am proud of my faith, as I'm certain you are proud of your faith and of your heritage. But please, please, let us all remember to respect the right of others to their belief. Be kind and good and respectful and tolerant towards one another. That is the basis for peace. Had there been respect and tolerance towards one another some 70 years ago, I would not be here this afternoon to share that dark period of our history with you. 9/11 would not have occurred. Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya, Syria, North Korea, all these countries that are in such turmoil would be peaceful countries for its people. Be kind and good and respectful towards one another, please. It is such a simple message and yet so difficult to achieve. There is very little that we can do against the negativity in our world, but how we treat, behave, and reach out towards one another, that is entirely up to us. Did I ever find my 4 pebbles? Of course I did. I made it my business to find them. I cheated all the time. When I found them, I put them in a safe place. Next time I would search for them and I couldn't find that 3rd one or that 4th one, well, I knew exactly where to go and pick them up. Maybe that was cheating, but it was my game, and guess who made the rules? You need to know that I was only about 9 or 10 years old when things were at its absolute worst. We had nothing to occupy our time with constructively. No paper, no pencils, no books, certainly no games. So I was lucky at such an imaginative mind, and my imaginative games were always based on a positive attitude. I would search for a piece of glass or a piece of a mirror, whatever I could find on that dirt ground in Bergen-Belsen. And when the sun would shine, and I, Marion, knew that that sun would always come out. And when it did, that little piece of glass would cast a reflection onto the ground. And that little wiggly reflection, it became my pet. As long as the sun would shine, I would have my pet, and my pet would never, ever die. I would also imagine that one day I once again would have my 3 Bs. And these 3 Bs represent our everyday comforts and necessities that we all take so much for granted. First B represented a bed. I knew that someday I once again would have my very own bed with a real mattress, clean sheets, and enough blankets to keep me warm. Second B represented a bath, warm water, soap, clean towel, and with that would come toothpaste and a toothbrush, of course. And the third B was bread. I knew that someday I once again would have enough bread so that I would never again go hungry. These imaginative games, if you will, they were my survival techniques. They were my survival skills. Do you know that we all have survival techniques and skills within us? When the need arises, we just have to search for them, find them, and be sure that we put them to work. No one is spared adversity. No one is spared hardship. We all have to overcome obstacles at one time or another, but with perseverance, with determination, with faith, and above all, hope, one can overcome just about anything and everything. Above all, don't ever, ever give up hope. It is not so much what happens to a person, it's how we deal with the situation that makes the difference. I came to America and I got acquainted with potato chips. And whoever was eating them was dipping into something white and creamy. I didn't know from dip, so I was so sure that that was mayonnaise. Well, I couldn't wait to get my own big bag of potato chips and my own jar of mayonnaise. And oh my goodness, that did a job on me. I very quickly became a big 13-year-old. And remember, there I was with these little 9-year-olds. You know, they could have made plenty fun of me. I looked differently than they did, certainly acted differently than they did. But I need you to know that they were so good to me. They helped me with my homework. They included me in their games. I hope that when a new student comes into your class, your school, or community, that you too help him or her to adjust to a new situation. Put yourselves in his or her place, how you might feel if you're placed in a strange or new environment. Be kind and good and respectful towards one another, please. And you, the students here at the Gilderland High School and the middle school, wherever you are, okay? You are so fortunate, so very fortunate to be receiving a good education in a beautiful environment with dedicated teachers. Do not take your educational opportunities for granted. Make the most of it. Give your studies an extra measure of hard work. You will never, ever regret it. Nathaniel is from New York. He went to Bradley University in Peoria, lucky me. He went home on vacations, and way back then in the 1950s, long-distance telephone calls were very expensive. There were no computers, there were no emails, but for a 3-cent stamp, there really was such a thing as a 3-cent stamp. We would write to one another every single day, major, major problems. In his letters to me, he would add 5 words. Nathaniel, I happen to know there were more than 5 words. Whatever they were, way too many words that he asked me to define and put into a sentence. That's a lot of nerve with all I had to do, but I knew he meant to help me with my English, and I guess it did work, so thank you, Nathaniel. I, on the other hand, would write my letters in rough draft with a dictionary by my side, and only when I was satisfied with the way the letter was written would I dare mail it to him. Talking about a dictionary. My father always carried a little chunky German-English dictionary with him, and he would study the vocabulary in secret whenever possible, always with the hope that someday he would reach America. When we came to the United States back in 1948 and approached New York Harbor, we were told the night before that if we wanted to see the Statue of Liberty, we needed to be on deck bright and early the next morning. Well, you can be sure that each and every one of us was on deck to greet and be greeted by that magnificent symbol of freedom, the freedom that had been denied us for so many years. And to this day, when we cross the Verrazano Bridge, you guys know the Verrazano Bridge, some of you. Anyway, Georgia, Iowa, yeah, big explanations. Okay, when we reach a certain point on that bridge, I will always crane my neck to see the Statue of Liberty. It's a most beautiful, meaningful, magnificent sight. Next time when you're in the big city, make it your business to visit the Statue of Liberty. Are there any questions? I've got plenty more to share. Any questions? No? I'm often asked about Anne Frank. Go ahead. Do I still have friends alive who were in the camps with me? A number of them who did survive live in Israel. We have children and grandchildren in the country. Just came back Thursday from there. And always see a very close friend who was in the camps with me. 6.5 years together. And it's a very good feeling to be with one another. Not that we commiserate of what happened then, but we have a special bond, a special connection, and it's a very good feeling to be with them. But thank you for asking. Okay. Anne Frank is a frequently asked question. She was in the same camps I was in. But you need to know that her name did not become well known until after her diary was found and published. Prior to that, she was just one of us. And the story you heard this afternoon really picks up where hers left off. We only know her story while she was in hiding. We know nothing about her experiences in the camps. In addition to that, she was 6 years older than I am. And you know very well that a 15-year-old has next to nothing to do with a 9-year-old. So if I might have seen her, but it had very little meaning at that time. Do I still speak those languages? Ik spreek een klein beetje Hollands. I speak a little bit of Dutch. By the way, you know, Gilderland is really Hulderland. Okay, it's Dutch name. Okay. Ich spreche ein sehr gutes Deutsch. I speak an excellent German, and I do speak some English. Oh, I also speak a little Hebrew. Ani medaberet devrit ketzat. I speak some Hebrew. That's about it, though. Okay. We returned to Germany on various. How much time do I have? Oh, that's good. Very good. Okay. Okay. We returned to Germany on various occasions, and the very first time was back in 1995. It was the 50th anniversary of our liberation. And we visited my father's grave. And the reason my father and about 60 others have a private resting place in that farm village where we were liberated was because they died after some of the chaos had subsided. Those who died early on were all buried in mass graves. We also went to Bergen-Belsen, and Bergen-Belsen looks nothing the way I remembered it. Had been burned down under the direction of President Eisenhower, who was then the commander of the Allied forces, because the conditions of the camp would have created tremendous health hazards for that entire region of Germany. So today, other than the newly built documentation and exhibition centers, Bergen-Belsen looks like a park. Green grass, shrubs, trees, not bad looking at all, except for the mounds everywhere. Mounds with flags that read, "Here lie 1,000. Here lie 2,500. These are the mass graves of our people. We also went to my former hometown of Hoya near Hanover, and there we were greeted by public officials who over and over again apologized. And then there was a non-Jewish young couple born after the war who took us to the Jewish cemetery, which was in terrible disarray, had not been cared for since 1938. And they took us to our family plot, and there among the toppled over stones was a brand new shiny granite footstone with the inscription, zur Erinnerung an die zerstörte Grabstelle der Familie Blumenthal, Hoya 1894 bis 1938. In memory of the desecrated plot of the Blumenthal family, Hoya 1894 to 1938, placed there by this non-Jewish young couple, unbeknownst to us, a most beautiful, generous, kind gesture. I never thought that I would refer to non-Jewish Germans in such glowing terms. People like these that renew one's faith in humanity. And they become wonderful, dear friends of ours, actually shared in my mom's 100th birthday celebration. Now, no one in their right mind will travel from Europe to New York for 4 days in February to sightsee. Amazing, amazing, amazing people. And each time we return, I speak in schools, universities, and churches, do so in German, tremendously well received, but so difficult for today's young people to hear. After all, it happened in their country, by their own people, their grandparents' and great-grandparents' generation. A huge, huge burden for these young people. And unfortunately, it will be their burden for generations to come. And then we returned a number of years ago because a brand new public high school in my former hometown was named in my honor. So now the Marion Blumenthal Hauptschule, oder wie heißt es? Oberschule. It just changed. Okay, it doesn't matter. Oberschule, and just amazing. And it was a wonderful, wonderful celebration. Classmen, musicians, fine food, and very courageous for this little town to redress what happened so many years ago in their midst. And the night before the celebration, we commemorated the night of broken glass on the site where our synagogue once stood. Difficult trips, for sure, but never having any regrets to have returned. So it's been good. And we were actually returning again in September because they did some special publication about the story and so on for very young students. I have a website. Okay, you guys, now you have to bear with me. I don't do that stuff. Nathaniel's the computer guy. Okay. Now, I got this thing called a website, and it's 4perfectpebbles.com. F-O-U-R, spelled out pretty good so far. Okay. And it's got a front page. Oh, my goodness. This front page is called the home page. Okay. So in this front page, homepage, is a thing in the middle or on the side. Where is it? Always red? Mine is red. Okay, it's called an icon that's red, and it's on my front page. Okay, so if you find it, select is a good term. Okay, if you select it, then you will find a video pertaining to the naming of the school. It's in German, English subtitles. Check it out, it's really quite good. I have something else. I have a Facebook. I do. Well, you guys have one, I have one too. Okay, now, I was told that you told me all this stuff, right? Okay, you should come and visit it. Okay, who? Good pictures on there. What else do they need to know? Okay, that's enough, okay. But to be serious once again, please, please use this wonderful technology for good only. Do not disparage others. Do not intimidate others. Do not embarrass your friends. Be kind and good and respectful towards one another, please. There are two things that I hope that you remember from this afternoon's presentation. Number one, the Holocaust did happen. Unfortunately, there are those out there who have their own agenda, who deny that the Holocaust has happened, and that's oh so dangerous. Number two, be kind and good and respectful towards one another, please. If you remember those two messages, it'll have been worth your while to sit here for an hour. September 11th, 2001, none of us will ever be allowed to forget that date as long as we live. At that time, Nathaniel and I were in Florida visiting children and grandchildren. And because all planes were grounded, we chose to drive home. And as we approached New York and crossed the Verrazano Bridge, amidst the smoking ruins of the Twin Towers, we could see the Statue of Liberty holding high the torch of freedom. It is that flame of freedom that the terrorists sought to destroy. But they could not, and they never will, because we will take good care of our freedom. We will safeguard our freedom. We will not and must not take our freedom for granted. Let us all, each and every one of us, redouble our efforts to be kind and good and respectful towards one another. And with that, I wish each and every one of you a healthy, happy, productive future in a world of love and peace. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. All right. Now, I need 2 more minutes of your time. I'd like to share a song with you. Not to worry, I won't sing. It's the title song of a musical, Four Perfect Pebbles, written by John Holt from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and sung about 10, 15 years ago by an 11-year-old girl by the name of Lyric. Listen to the lyrics. Can they watch the lyrics on the screen too? Okay, perfect. Oh, you're so good, Mrs. Autry. Okay. Listen to the lyrics. They're very meaningful and tell the whole story. Okay, just 2 minutes of your time.
Four perfect pebbles in my hand, some made of granite, some of sand, found in this dark and desolate land. Four perfect pebbles in my hand. Mother comforts Albert and me, Father shields us from misery. No parent's love can ever erase this sad and forgotten lonely place. Four perfect pebbles do I see, one for each member of my family. I hold them tight, I will not cry. All will live, no one will die. If I should lose my precious stones, my secret hiding place will reveal more perfect pebbles far beneath these barracks made of wood and steel. Four perfect pebbles do I see, Mother, Father, Albert, and me. I count them over one by one. I fall fast asleep. My work is
Thank you.
Okay, those of you who pre-ordered books to be autographed by Marion, we do have them up here, so make sure you get them before you leave. If any of you have questions that you'd like to ask Marion personally, you may certainly come up and do so. Those of you who are with a class, if your teacher's going back, you'll go back with him or her. She does have a few copies, few being five copies, available for purchase if you are interested. Those of you who are going back with teachers, you're going to stay with your teacher. Otherwise, you're staying in here until the 2:21 bell rings, okay?
And I like to give hugs.
She likes to give hugs.